Hello, everybody. Mike Amori here from the school chess program. I am absolutely thrilled to see so many of you come out to play some chess last Saturday in Bronxville. So what I'm going to do over the break is start sending you some instructional videos and/or ways that you can get your own online accounts if that's something you want to do. And I'm going to start that off by showing you a game that one of my students played, who happens to be a QRS student. And they played the game online. And let's just call the player with the black pieces QRS. And his opponent is C33BN. It's just a bunch of letters and numbers. So I'm going to call, I'll just say the white pieces from the other side. Okay, so hopefully you have a good view of the board. And what I want you to get out of this, I'll try to keep this a little short, or maybe you can watch it in two parts. But I'm going to stop the screen occasionally. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want you to pretend that you were in the game yourself, okay? And when I stop, the player whose turn it is will have a problem to solve. So if you pretend that you're that player, that's one thing you can do to get really good at chess, is go over games, stopping occasionally and solving the problem on the board. So you should all see the move E4 for white, and our player answered with E5. Really nothing to talk about. Everybody watching this is pretty comfortable in these spots. So we have a knight attacking a pawn on E5. So we protect it. And then the bishop comes out, attacks the knight. This is called the Ruy Lopez. Don't need to know that for today. Black develops a knight. White plays pawn to D3. So this looks like really good chess so far, right? Because after that pawn moves, the dark squared bishop from white is ready to come into the game. And now it's black's turn. So what would you do if you were playing black? So a little tip. I don't know what you're watching this on. It could be YouTube or some other format. You should be able to pause this video. So if you can, pause this, look at the board and ask yourself, if you were playing black, what would you do? Nothing is being attacked except this knight, but it's protected. And I don't know, give it a pause. Okay, so black played bishop to C5, which is a beautiful developing move. And if you look carefully, you'll see that it is attacking the pawn on F2. And that pawn is a very sensitive pawn because only the king protects it. So with white to play, white played a very interesting move, pawn to C3, not knight to C3. So when you see a pawn move like this is a little bit advanced because you were taught, oh, we should be getting our knights out before our pawns, right? So you look at that pawn move and go, wow, that looks a little funny, but it's actually not. It has a purpose. The main reason is in the future, it's helping you play this pawn break into the middle of the board. You could also possibly play pawn to B4 to attack the bishop, pushing it away. And it also does a really good job of keeping the black knight out of the center. So it's kind of a multi-purpose move, but it's not all great because I've got a phone call from another chess teacher. Anyway, so the downside of that move is the knight does not come to C3, okay? So our player looks at the board and says, okay, I'm not in any danger. And now they actually make a little bit of a mistake. It works out well for them, but it's really not a move that I would recommend you play in this position. If I had black here, I would do one of two things. I might consider the move D3 or D5, playing with a pawn in the middle, or simply castling the king. What our player did instead is they went to target this pawn on F2, and they played knight to G4. You're going to learn as you get better at chess that there are these kind of rules. They're not rules about how the pieces move. You can never change those. These are more like rules or guidelines that help you get better at chess. And one of them is try not to move the same piece twice in the beginning unless you have a really good reason. Because if you back this knight up, let's put the knight back on f6, this bishop on c8 may complain and say, hey, look, I'm a minor piece. We all know what that means. Knights and bishops are called minor pieces. I'm a minor piece, and I was told that I'm going to be playing soon, which is the truth. You really need to play with all of your minor pieces. The problem is, if you move the knight again, the bishop is going to say, okay, I'll take a back seat and I'll let the knight move again, as long as it has a good reason. Now watch this. I'm going to turn the board around. So this looks funny at first because you're looking at a position from the other side. If you look carefully, you can see our player from QRS has a good reason to move the knight twice. They're moving it to attack the f2 pawn. So if white, just makes some random move like pawn a3, then you can take this pawn, probably with the knight, and that's going to attack the queen and the rook. You'll notice that the king cannot take the knight because of the bishop's protection. White would be in big trouble here. This is an extremely common problem in chess. We had a QRS player at the tournament in Bronxville play the 4-move checkmate, and they checkmated black on this square up on f7. Isn't it interesting that we're doing it in reverse here? That again, they're trying to target that very weak square. Only this time, white missed a chance to protect that square. And the best way to do that, well, you can stop your video if you want to think for yourself. Okay? See, I have no idea if you're stopping the video or not, but I'm going to pretend that you did. You should actually castle here. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to get rid of that pawn move a3. Here we go. You should actually castle. Because when you castle, the rook jumps over the king's head and protects the pawn. And the king protects the pawn as well, either from here or from here. So you add another protector to that square, and at the same time, you tuck your king in and get ready for the middle game. What a lot of kids think with black is that, okay, you're protecting that pawn with a rook. I'm just going to take it anyway. Check. And white should simply take the rook, the knight takes back, and you take with your king. The trade that you just saw is equal. A knight and a bishop for a rook and a pawn. That's 3 + 3, 6, against 5 + 1, 6. So even though you traded the material equally, what you did do, if you're black, is you traded off 2 of your developed pieces. And what did you trade them for? A pawn and a rook that weren't really moving. So you ended up trading off all of those active pieces, and it took you a lot of time to get that done. You don't have a bishop here anymore. You don't have a knight here anymore. White has a knight in the game, a bishop in the game, and 3 pawns that have moved. And those are not random pawns, are they? They're controlling really important squares. Okay. Some of you might say, hey, Mr. A, I made this trade so that I can expose the white king, get him out of his castle, and maybe attack later. My answer to you would be, okay, good thinking, except for one problem. Who's going to attack the king? He's on a dark square. You've already traded off your dark squared bishop. You don't have a knight that can get to the king, and you certainly don't want to check the king with your queen because you'll lose your queen. So it looks like the white king is out in the open, but in fact, he's quite safe. All right? So our player actually made a little bit of a mistake by moving the knight to g4. But white did not respond correctly. What they did, and I'm going to turn the board around again. Here we go. What they did, so here's our position, is they played the move bishop to e3, which, yes, does protect the pawn, but it allows black to trade on the e3 square because you're attacking that twice. So he took. Could have taken with the knight, may have been a little bit better. Pawn took back, and he steals a pawn. You will see that it also attacks the queen. The queen moves out of the way, attacks our knight, and now our knight needs to run away, which it did. It just went back to g4. And it looks like black is up a pawn. Okay. The knight gets attacked again. And here we have a problem to solve. In the game, our student with black, and keep in mind, black wins this game, but they make a mistake. They have a problem here. Their knight is attacked. So what they decided to do was give a problem back to white. I like the thinking, but the timing is not correct. Why? Because when you attack the bishop is simply just going to take the knight. Now, don't forget, white has taken a minor piece from us, and we still have this knight hanging on g4. And you have to get used to that word hanging. It simply means an apple on a tree. So if you've gone apple picking and you see an apple hanging on a tree and you can take it for free, well, maybe you have to pay for those apples. But you got the point? You will hear at these tournaments when coaches are talking to students, oh, you hung a piece, or there's a piece hanging. It means your partner can take something for free. So what happened to us here is, as soon as the bishop took and the pawn took back, and I like the way black took the pawn back because now that opened up their bishop, but you'll see it's white's turn and they simply snapped off our knight. So if you do the math, you'll see that we have one minor piece left, a bishop. Black has two. We, however, should have an extra pawn. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4. Yeah, we have all 8 and they have 7. So we lost a minor piece for a pawn. Not so great, but we get a second pawn back when you take on g4. Okay, we're not doing great, but never resign these games because you're down a piece, because neither of these players are grandmasters. They're going to make mistakes back and forth. I love white's move. They castle. And black decides to play a cool little trick here. It's really just a fancy trade. It's funny how the knight is looking right at our student's queen. It's like, what'd you give your queen away for? Well, the knight is being pinned by the bishop. So they end up swapping queens here. Knight takes queen, bishop takes queen. And this looks pretty interesting. You're attacking the rook and the pawn. And I like the way white played this position. They have an issue here. They have a rook and a pawn being attacked, so they don't just sit back. They just bring their rook into the game, and they attack this pawn. Great, great. Did you hear that bell, by the way? Yes, it means your e5 pawn is being attacked. No, it doesn't. It's just my computer. So anyway, I like what white did. They didn't just sit there. They said, okay, if you want to take one of my pawns, I'll take one of yours. Black attacks the rook, but try to remember when you attack something of your opponent, they're not going to sit there. They take the pawn check. The bishop comes in to block the check. And now the knight develops to d2. I like this move a lot for white because if you look at their position, they have a knight and rook doing absolutely nothing. So if you're playing chess, as I mentioned, if I turn the board around for you, let your eyes focus. If you didn't know what to do here, you probably don't want to take this bishop. It's protected by the pawn. You might want to improve your knight. You could think about putting your knight into a closer square to the king. That looks pretty good. And then now I have a phone ringing. Look at this. Everybody decides to get in touch now. So, yeah, you might want to move your knight into the game, or simply look down at the board and go, wait a minute, I have a rook and a knight doing absolutely nothing. I like white's move. They develop the knight. And let's keep it on this side for a minute. Pawn f6 attacks the rook. Now, that pawn a moment ago was actually protecting this bishop. So what white could have done is they could have hopped in and taken the bishop, although this would not have been for free, because black can now come out, attack the rook, and in this position, say to white, okay, that rook is trapped. It can't go here, it can't go here, except if it is going to get trapped, and don't forget, it took a knight, it could take one of these pawns. At least you get something for your rook. For example, if you took the c pawn, then at least you would make these pawns on this side of the board very weak. They are not protecting each other. So you kind of create targets for later in the game. That's one idea you could have had. Another one is you could have taken this pawn, and you give black the choice of how they want to take your rook. They can take with the king. Then the king would be sitting on an open file, probably get checked. Or you can take with the pawn. And if you do that, then what happens is you create one of these. What is this? So I'm going to suggest when you see this video that you don't maybe watch it in one clip, because there's a lot of information that I'm putting here. Hopefully you could even watch it with one of your parents who's learning to play chess or already plays chess, because I think these ideas and tips should be useful to you. But I don't want you to kind of cram it in, take your time and watch the video. This is a very special square. I'm just going to make a random move for black, although it's white's turn. I can just do it right now. Let's say the knight jumps into f5. That was the square that's lit up. That square is something known as an outpost square. You may have heard me talk about that in school. An outpost square is a square that has three items. I don't know. Should I pick up the phone? Absolutely incredible. Maybe I should learn how to turn the ringer off. That might be a better option. Anyway, let's hope it doesn't ring again. There are three ideas that make an outpost square what it is. The first is it's sitting on our opponent's side of the board. Remember, we're playing white now. The knight is on the black side of the board. That makes it very dangerous. Number two, there are no pawns on the other side that can attack that knight. It's very hard to get rid of. If you want to get rid of this knight, you're going to have to give up one of your rooks for it. And there's a third idea. There's a pawn protecting it. So I'll review them for you. Protected by a pawn. There are no enemy pawns that can chase it away. And it's sitting on your opponent's side of the board. That is a very strong knight. So when a chess coach at one of these tournaments at Bronxville says to you, hey, I don't know, Frankie, what's worth more, a rook or a knight? The correct answer should always be, show me the position. Because I could make the argument that this knight on f5 right now is as strong as any rook on the board. See why I'm saying that? Okay, so this could have happened in the game. Let me turn the board around and show you what did happen. So instead of taking the bishop and going for those trades, white just came here and got the rook out of the way. Castle. Now the rooks are playing. Rook comes into the game. And there, pawn to b6. That attacks the rook. So what should white do here? They should probably just take a free pawn. And if you get attacked with the rook, you have lots of squares you can just run away to, and you would have won another pawn. But it's not what happened. So you have to be very careful moving the pawns in front of your king. Keep that in mind. The rook just went back. Now, if I had the black pieces, I would play without question the move that black played, which was simply to take a free pawn. I get asked all the time as you're learning to play chess. I know how to play the opening well enough. I get my knights and bishops out, I castle, I play in the center with my pawns. But once the middle game starts, I get confused. Well, join the club. The middle game is very hard to play. But here are some tips. Maybe make an escape square for your king. Do you need that here? No, you don't. You can always comfortably put your king here. You can sometimes improve a piece. You have a rook in the corner. If it's not doing enough, maybe you can bring it toward the center. Can you attack the king? Look at every check and capture. Here, it turns out you can just take a pawn, which is what black did. And that attacks the knight. The pawn moved, and all of a sudden, our hero with the black pieces goes from losing to winning because white just hung the knight. So you see, these games kind of go back and forth like a seesaw. That's why you should never quit. The rook took the knight, and in this position, because of the extra pawns, black has a winning position. But the game's not over yet. I like how white keeps fighting back, and they took a pawn. And now white has a very, very serious threat. If this rook comes to A8, it will be check. And not only will it be check, once the king moves out of check, you will lose the rook in the corner. That is called a skewer, okay? That's called a skewer. And as you learn these tactics, or maybe get a chesskid.com account, you can do puzzles that are specially made just for these ideas. Okay, let's go back. The pawn gets taken. Black has a problem. What should you do? Pause your video. That's correct. What you should do. I don't know who said that. I'm assuming one of you got the answer. Maybe one of the moms or dads. You put your king on B7. That not only protects the square, but it also attacks the rook and will chase it away. Okay? Very good. That's what he should have done. But instead, he brought his bishop out and attacked the rook. Now, that would have been a great move if the white king was on that square, because it would have been a double attack, another tactic or trick. You would have attacked the king and the rook, but there is no king there. It's not check. That is check. Now you played king out, but it's too late. You lose the rook in the corner. And now, if you look at the board, black is down a rook. So we went from losing to winning to losing. And don't forget, black wins this game. Let's see how. Took a pawn. Don't give up. Pawn pushed. Pawn pushed. Trade, trade. Now we have to talk about these two characters. These are pawns. Oh, Mr. A, I had no idea. They're pawns, but they're special now. Because if you look at the board, there are no other pawns that can stop these. They're called passed pawns. Passed pawns can be very dangerous because if there's no pawn in the way, it will continue to march and force you to use your big pieces to stop them from becoming queens. And that's exactly what happened in this game. The rook took a pawn. Okay, but this rook is in no position to stop these pawns if they begin to march, which they do. Takes another one, check. This is all good for white. King comes out. And what they should have done here is, well, you can do a lot of things. You can grab another pawn, you can put your knight on the outpost square, but what they decided to do was come after this pawn. Okay, but they're ignoring something, aren't they? And now they think they have the right idea to come back after the pawns. The rook got out of the way. The rook took a pawn. Oh, I don't know how that happened. Let me fix the screen. And guess who pushed? The rook went behind. And stop your video and let me know what you would play for white and black. Well, it's black's turn. Rook to c1. Now, what you should do here is anything but take that rook. That's what happened in the game. White took, and when they took, ooh, that's my computer is making all these funny faces here. The problem is black simply took back, made a queen, and when they made a queen, let me fix that board up for you, white actually resigned. So kind of a seesaw game. There is a lot here. I hope you got a chance to watch this in two goes, so that you don't have to, sit there the whole time, because I really want you to learn these ideas. Okay, hopefully we'll set up an email list where I can, if you'd like, I can send you a video every week and some tips on things, what to do over the break. Okay, keep playing chess. See you soon.